Hello and welcome everybody to another episode of r/ProRevenge. My name is Ryan, the official host here on Reddit Voice, and I look forward to bringing you guys today's top stories. Before I do, I'd really appreciate it though if you could hit that subscribe button, as well as make sure you got notifications turned on, that way you could stay up to date with all the latest and the greatest. Gym member flips out at me for not knowing who he is. Months later, I get to call him out in front of people who matter to him. The time was the mid-2000s. Edward Rovius has graduated from college and was having trouble landing his first professional job. While he searched, he sold gym memberships by day and waited tables by night just to make some money and get out of his parents' house. My first week on the job at the gym, one of the front desk girls needed to use the bathroom and asked if I would cover. Just take their card, swipe it, and offer them a towel. If they don't have a card, look them up on the computer. Can do. I swipe a few people in. It's around 4:30 and some people are coming in from work. An older guy, probably in his 50s, think Jamie Sheridan but shorter, walks in. He's in his suit, indicating he's coming in from work with a gym bag over his shoulder, and the angle at which he's walking indicates he has no plan at all to attempt to swipe in. I professionally say, "Excuse me, sir, can I see?" And he glances at me and continues to walk into the gym. Keep in mind, I was new and I had gone to a 3-day training, overkill, on different ways to sell the gym. One of the key points was safety. Saying things like, "We only let members in. We have everyone's licenses and information on file," etc. I think of all of these points, so I come out from behind the desk, thinking I'll gladly look the guy up if he forgot his card. As I approach him, I start to say again how I need to swipe him in, and he freaks out on me. It's been over a decade, but the main points where he comes in every day, he never swipes in, and everyone knows who he is. I'm an idiot, all as loud as he could be, in my face and very aggressively. I am completely taken aback, embarrassed, and angry. The gym manager comes out of his office and settles things down and tells Gene he can head on in. The manager tells me Gene doesn't like to swipe in and that when they see him, they just search for him and let him walk on. I'm pissed, but the manager seems to just accept it as something that happened. I continue to work at the gym for 6 months, seeing Gene a few times a week and never saying a word to him. Eventually, while I was gone, one of the other sales reps took one of my prospects and signed him up. The sales girl told the prospects she was my manager and she would make sure I got the commission. She was not a manager and did not. The only reason I know is because the gym member told me. I called her out on it, she defends it. At this point, I had already put in my 2 weeks' notice and the manager tells me not to come back in. Fine with me, that place was toxic. 4 to 5 months later, I get a job at an asset management company and I'm thrilled. I like my work and the boss who I directly report to is pretty high up in the company. I work on a building that has 16 floors and the company I work for occupies floors 14, 15, and 16. I rode the elevator with my boss a few times and saw him interacting with the bigwigs from other companies and the others that are on other floors of our building. They have an informal group which would often go golfing and do dinners with each other. One day, I'm waiting for the elevator to leave for the day when my boss comes out and gets on with the elevator with me. We start to go down, picking up more and more people who are trying to get home, and 3 of them are executives in my boss's social circle. We stop at a floor, and who should get on the elevator, complete with his gym bag, but Gene. He and my boss shake hands, begin discussing weekend plans, etc. My boss then introduces me to Gene, and I give 0 fucks. I've been thinking about this guy for months. "Oh, Gene and I have already met," I say in a tone that dictates Gene and I have some history. My boss is taken aback by my tone. Internally, I hesitate for a moment, but my boss likes me and this guy mortified me. I had been in enough customer service and retail jobs since I was 15. I've taken a lot of crap, but this guy was one of the worst. It really stuck with me because it was completely and totally undeserved. I was just trying to do my job. Gene is having trouble placing me. I worked at insert gym name. And my first week there, you berated me with obscenities at the top of your lungs because I asked for your membership card when you walked into the gym. Gene's jaw has now dropped. My boss's head turned from me to Gene. Gene does not try to deny it. He stammers. I never bring my card and everyone there knows me, so I always just walk in. Yep, the manager told me after our incident. Anyway, like I said, we've met. I just go back to riding the elevator. No one's speaking. Elevator gets to the ground floor and we all go our separate ways. It felt good, but I was regretting it now, because we're going into the weekend and I will have to wait until Monday morning to see if my boss is upset with my behavior or not. I still waited tables, went right to work, told my coworkers what happened, and we proceeded to get trashed in my honor once the restaurant closed. Monday morning, I get to my desk, and eventually, in my travels through the office, I have to pass my boss, who calls me in. He asks for more details about my encounter with Gene. I pretty much gave all the details in the elevator. It was my first week selling gym memberships. He knew of this job, as it was on my resume. I was covering for a front desk person who needed to use the bathroom. Gene walked in, and I was told to scan everyone in the gym. I tried to tell Gene this, and he went off on me. Honestly, I've been thinking about him for months and was blown away when he got on the elevator. I've never really said anything like that to anyone, and I didn't plan on it. It just came out as soon as I saw his face. My boss was blown away that this happened, and that Gene's excuse on the elevator was, "Oh yeah, I never bring my card." I said, yeah, he could have said that. He could have explained it to me. Could have even told me his name. Could have said to talk to the manager and that everyone knows him. But he chose to explode over something like this, and a 22-year-old just trying to do his job. Eventually, my boss told the other executives and they cut Gene out of their circle. I got on the elevator a few times with me and Gene only, and each time I was sure to give a smile and say, "Hi, Gene." He got what he wanted. I never forgot who he was. Edit. Weirdly enough, someone called me out saying this story was BS because I was still waiting tables once I got the asset management job. Here's the summary there. Waiting tables. Get professional level job and inform restaurant I had been working at for almost a year. At this point, I had been a good worker, done doubles, knew the menu, and was dependable. After 2 months at the entry-level job, I wanted a new job because my Toyota Cressida was on its last leg. Yes, that is a model of Toyota, look it up. Here's the thing about waiting tables. The good nights to make tips are Fridays and Saturdays. Obviously. That being said, if you want to walk into a restaurant and ask for those nights, and only those nights, you'll most likely get laughed at. You'll need to take the shitty shifts like Tuesday lunch as well. Because I had an existing relationship with the management and waitstaff, when I asked for Friday nights back, and only Friday nights back after being off for a few months, no one batted an eye and they let me have it. I was able to make $80 to $100 a Friday night, which was pretty much exactly what I need to cover my new monthly car payment, without having to dip into money I was making from my new job. TLDR, I work at a gym and was waiting tables out of college. Tried to scan a self-proclaimed super important guy when he walks in. He flips out on me. Boss says, "Yeah, that's Gene. He doesn't like to have to swipe in." Months later, I get a professional job and see Gene on the elevator. He works in the same building as me. I expose the story to other bigwigs in the building in front of Gene, who does not deny his appalling behavior. Gene slowly is removed from his social circle, and I get drunk. Almost court-martialed, just to stick it to my abusive father. To start off, here's some backstory. This all happened about 10 years ago, but to this day I can't help but be proud of my actions. My dad was a complete ass. We didn't know at the time, but he was a diagnosed sociopath with violent tendencies and loved using and abusing people. He was physically, verbally, and emotionally abusive. Basically, any way he could find to hurt you, he did. My dad also worked at a school and had for a few decades. Everyone loved him there. He ran several after-school programs, and after a while, the students were always a little off around him. But the teachers and parents absolutely loved him. Now, I am the oldest of 7 children, and I had long ago taken it upon myself to be the barrier between my siblings and his abuse, which was a really tough place for a kid to be. I won't go into every example, but some of the highlights of my childhood, to get a taste of the type of ass he was, included my father's collective punishment, in which, let's say, my 4-year-old brother lost his favorite toy, so my father would gather all 7 of us and ask that we bring our favorite toy, yes, including my 4-year-old brother having to bring his second favorite toy, and then collect them to burn in the backyard, making sure we all watched in horror. He would also find reasons to spank my little sisters, by hand, after they had gotten out of the bath, before they had a chance to put on clothes, and had a favorite belt which he had bent the buckle into a hook to, so he could spank us with it. It would leave deep bleeding gouges, and yes, he would beat us harder if we got blood on him or his carpet. Fast forward, and most of us are old enough to have bailed. We still come by the house because my mom and a few younger siblings are still living with him. I don't know why, but I try to not judge people, and my dad has been mostly neutral for a while. Still verbally abusive, but less physically abusive. So most of us are trying to move on with our lives and not start shit with him, as none of us want to deal with any more drama. I have just left a crappy job at the local Italian restaurant, see post history lol, and have joined the army, which my dad, being the red-blooded American that he is, absolutely loved. I had also recently married my girlfriend before joining because A, we were in love, and B, the benefits were fantastic for married soldiers. Extra living stipends on post-housing, so no barracks, and getting to spend my training living with my now wife. I had finished my basic training and beat my AIT, Advanced Individual Training, basically where they teach you how to do the job you picked, with my wife for about a month. My post was in a coastal city. No, I can't say which one. So every morning we did a 5-mile beach run for our PT. One morning during the run, I collapse. When I wake up, my head's killing me and I'm in local urgent care. I found out later that it was closer than the post hospital and my first sergeant didn't want to risk taking me all the way back. They run a few tests and do some x-rays and let me know that the reason I passed out is because of a blockage in my brain. I'll need to head to the local hospital for a CT scan and to talk to the neurologist there. Holy shit. At this point, I'm not thinking clearly, and I'm freaking out when I get to the hospital. The doctors there run their test and confirm I've somehow developed a brain tumor that appears to have malignant features. Holy shit! I made it through basic training, and now I'm going to die of brain cancer? They tell me I must have brain surgery in the next few weeks, and at that point allow me to call anyone I need to, as the surgery is serious and I may not survive. The first call is to my amazing wife, who rushes to the hospital to be by my side. After she calms me down a bit, I call my mom and let her know what's going on. Now, my mom is an amazing woman. I tell her what happened, and she simply says, "I'll be there tomorrow." Literally the next day, my mom arrives with my entire family, minus my dad. I'm scheduled for surgery in 3 days, so my family stays with my wife and I in our house on post. It was cramped, but we made it work. We go out and enjoy the city, as I'm now officially on medical leave. And although no one's saying it, this is my goodbye tour. As I'm literally preparing for my death, I ask my mom why my dad isn't there, hopeful that maybe in my final hour, yes, I was super dramatic, he would finally come to his senses and be there for me. She tells me that he couldn't get the time off work, and that he's really sorry. Fine, whatever, it's not like his kid might die, but I can understand shitty managers. The day of my surgery comes, and everyone's there, tearfully saying goodbye. Not helpful, and I go into my surgery room with my neurosurgeon. I awake in the ICU, my skull now full of metal, and a fun scar stapled down the side of my head. They ended up not being able to remove the tumor, but discovered it wasn't cancerous, so they gave me the choice of removing it and not being able to walk again, or having terrible migraines for the rest of my life. I chose the latter. My family, happy I survived, heads back home as they will be going to San Diego for vacation in the next few weeks. They invite my wife and I, just in case I'm out of recovery by then, which I am, and while in recovery I get an email from my dad's boss wishing me well and making sure me and my dad were doing okay. What the f***? I play coy, and after a few messages, discover that he told his boss that he was there with his family emergency and that he needed to be with his son for the next few weeks because he could die. At this point, I'm pissed. My wife is pissed, and my mom, who I let in on this conversation, is pissed. He apparently had told her that his boss gave him an extra week of vacation so he could go to San Diego Comic-Con. So at this point, I have a plan, fueled by anger and leftover fear from when I thought I was gonna die. I start requesting time off. Yes, I was back on duty at that point. The army can be brutal at times. Which my official request gets denied, but after playing the "I could have died" card, my first sergeant says he'll work it out, which I take as the green light. My wife and I drive a very long way to meet up with my family at San Diego, and from that point on, I make it my personal mission to take as many pics of my dad as I can. One with his favorite Battlestar Galactica actor? Absolutely. A pic at SeaWorld with the entire family next to the large events board that has the date on it? You betcha. I spend an entire day compiling as much evidence as I can when I get a call from my squad leader, and he's pissed. He lets me know that since I didn't show up for morning or evening formation, he had some guys from my platoon go to my house, and since I wasn't there, is now frantically searching for me, thinking I had died. I apologized profusely and explained that I thought the first sergeant had worked it all out. He had forgotten about my request. My squad leader screams that I need to be back by the end of that day and that I'd be lucky if I wasn't court-martialed for desertion. My wife and I zoom back to post, and after 2 days of apologies and playing the TBI card, I have been forgiven and I can now proceed with my revenge. I start by sending an email to his boss, CCing a few of the more choice members of the education board, explaining that I don't know what she's talking about. My dad never came to see me in the hospital, that I did see him for about one afternoon week after my surgery and included all of the best pictures from our trip. She thanks me for my candor and promises she'll keep my involvement a secret. A few days go by and I hear back from her. She says that he claims I was unconscious during his visit, not showing him the photos yet as they had opened an official investigation. I apologize for my mistake and immediately get her in contact with both my neurosurgeon and the nurse that's been taking care of me in the ICU. Both confirm that he had never once been there as per the sign-in sheets. Another few days go by and she emails me again to thank me for all the info, that it had all been the last thing they needed to boot his abusive ass. My mom then calls me, letting me know that he had been brought under investigation for not only lying about his leave, but for being inappropriate with students. He was livid. He called me after the fact, sounding like he was frothing at the mouth, screaming what you would expect. "How dare you, blah blah blah, I was so close to my retirement, blah blah blah, you should have died, etc. I stay very calm and explain that he had never been my father, that in the moment of my fucking deathbed I had realized that he would never change, and that even his son dying wouldn't faze his disgusting behavior, and that I would never speak to him again. He had been just 4 years away from his retirement when I put my plan into motion. His boss had been trying to rid herself of him, but he had manipulated the union, of which he was a part of, to back him because everyone loved him, and she was just jealous. She was new there. He had gotten 4 fired before her, so from what I hear, he was pretty smug when he walked in with his union rep on the last day. She laid down every piece of evidence they had, which was a lot, as they had also been talking with my mom. His union rep disavowed him right there and bailed. He lost his pension, his benefits, was hated by every single person at that school, and on top of it all, my mom filed for divorce. Once he saw all the pictures, it clicked for him. He knew I had ratted him out. He knew I was the one who gave him the last piece of damning evidence when there was nothing he could do about it. He tried a few times to sue me for contributing to his wrongful termination, but funny thing about lawyers is, they tend to not want to be on the side of a disgusting pedophile who's suing his disabled soldier son. I have no contact with him anymore, and I had had a few more encounters with him, custody proceedings and whatnot, but for the most part, everyone in my family has cut all ties to him. Last I heard, he's living with his mom, who hates him, and struggling to find work. Fuck him, I hope he burns in hell. TLDR, shitty abusive father bails on son during life-threatening surgery for Comic-Con, gets called out and gets fired. And there you have it, folks. The end of today's r/ProRevenge. If you liked it, be sure to leave a like on the video as well as subscribe with notifications turned on. That way you could stay up to date with all the latest and the greatest. As always, my name's Ryan, the official host here on Reddit Voice, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video.